Megyn Kelly recently appeared on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show and threw an absolute temper tantrum over Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl halftime show. I thought the performance was great. I'm not a big Bad Bunny fan. I thought the game was pretty great considering I'm a Seattle fan. But let's go ahead and watch Megyn Kelly get so upset and lose it over the fact that an extremely popular artist, surprise, surprise, was selected to perform at the halftime show.
There are going to be some things that I talk about with you where we're going to be in total agreement. But I'm going to start with something where I know we are totally in disagreement, and that is Bad Bunny. So I got up this morning and I watched it all without reading anything about it. I just thought, I want to watch this completely clean without anyone's view contaminating my brain cells. And I watched all 15 minutes of it. And I've watched every halftime show going back 30, 40 years. I thought as a piece of theater, it was the best I've seen. Just the most extraordinary kind of Broadway on steroids piece of theater. I also thought it wasn't remotely divisive politically in the end. His Grammys speech was, but his performance, I thought, was actually a lot of things which I would have thought people on the conservative right would applaud. It was about love. A couple actually got married. For real, in the middle of it. He was preaching about unity, not just the United States of America, but the wider Americas. What was the problem, Megyn?
A certain male gesture is coming to mind, but I'm not sure I can do it on this show. No, it wasn't about what he was actually going to do during the middle of the Super Bowl performance. It's about him. It's about him being chosen as the Super Bowl performer, somebody who's been an outspoken critic, of course, of the Trump administration and of America and our anti-immigrant policies. This is long before the current controversy over ICE.
Now, let me just ask you really fast before Megyn Kelly continues. Her issue of what she is reporting or purporting to say with Bad Bunny is not his performance, but him being selected because he has critiques about the Trump administration, about immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, and of America, so to speak. Now, she's going to use this as a means to say later on throughout this speech, to say that because he is quote unquote divisive and we need a unifier, therefore he shouldn't be a performer at the Super Bowl halftime show. Do you think she would be saying this same thing if the performer was extraordinarily openly pro-Trump? Donald Trump himself is one of the most divisive figures in American political history. Okay? So much of divisiveness can be blamed specifically to someone like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not a unifier. Isn't the president of the United States, isn't the role and the job at the president of the United States to be a unifier? So supporting the president isn't divisive, but being critical of the president, which is your First Amendment right, as an American citizen, which Bad Bunny, of course, is, that apparently is too divisive to even perform, no matter what your performance is, and no matter how many people love you as an artist.
He doesn't want illegals deported from this country. Well, too bad, because the majority of Americans do want that and are not shy about pushing for it. And that's why President Trump got elected. So he and his little buddies over at Green Day never miss a chance to bash the United States of America. He got selected because Jay-Z, for some reason, has got the choice over who performs at our Super Bowl, who's another problem. Don't even get me started on his friendship with Jeffrey.
I need to know where she gets this idea that Bad Bunny, quote, never misses a chance to bash on America. Look, I'm not incredibly tapped in to culture, politics, or pop culture for that matter, in terms of celebrity stardom, but I can almost guarantee that Bad Bunny is not some extraordinarily vocally politically charged person. He had a Grammy speech in which there was critique, vague critique, mind you, of the way ICE is conducting itself and the current administration. That's about it. Okay. I don't know where you gesture up in your head this fantasy that this person is some evil America hating individual when one of the only English sentences Bad Bunny spoke during his halftime performance when he's on the world stage. And yes, I know that the NFL is largely an American event, but the NFL is undeniably trying to expand to a global market. They've had games outside of the country for years now. So the only sentence that Bad Bunny spoke in the English language, or one of the only, or the first only sentence that he spoke in the English language, was "God bless America." Okay? And she wants you to believe that he doesn't miss an opportunity to bash America. Let's keep going.
Epstein, why is he choosing who's appropriate for American children to watch during our seminal sporting event? And I'm sorry, Piers, but to get up there and perform the whole show in Spanish is a middle finger to the rest of America. Who gives a damn that we have 40 million Spanish speakers in the United States? We have 310 million who don't speak a lick of Spanish. This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos, not for one small group, but for the country. We don't need a black national anthem. We don't need a Spanish-speaking, non-English performer, and we don't need an ICE or America hater featured as our primetime entertainment.
And this is where it really gets to. Conservatives fundamentally get triggered when their sensibilities aren't appealed to. Oh, you have a black main character? Oh, the main character of a show is gay or some sort of minority group? You're not appealing to the majority sensibilities? This is just capitalism. Actually, Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl halftime show. Yes, the NFL is an American sport, but I'll say it once again. The NFL is trying to expand to a broader market. The NFL consistently is playing every year now games in other countries, including games where the time difference is so stark, it's hard for Americans to even watch the game when they're playing in countries like Europe. So this is just capitalism. This is exactly the system that you support. If you don't want the NFL to continue expanding to a global market, maybe you should say the NFL should not prioritize profits and not be capitalist. Wouldn't that be an interesting take? That would be at the very least be a consistent one. No, Bad Bunny is appealing to music listeners. He's appealing to a general audience, right? The Super Bowl is an incredibly popular medium of entertainment. Do you know how many people don't watch football but get excited over who's performing the halftime performance? A ton of people. And a ton of people love Bad Bunny. More people love Bad Bunny than Donald Trump. I can tell you that much.
Okay, what is the national language, officially the national language of the United States of America?
I mean, English. And there.
That is false. And she's going to attempt to skirt around it and say, well, we're trying to make it. There's some people that are trying to make it an official language, but she just lied. She lied through her teeth. There's no way of getting around that. His question, what is the official language of the United States of America? The correct answer, the only correct answer to that question is none. And what was her answer? English. Watch her pivot and break her ankles doing so.
There's been a push for many years to make it an official,
you don't have one.
Documented thing.
You don't have one.
If you would have let me finish my comment, I would have pointed that out, that people have been pushing to make it official.
There are people pushing to make it official. Yeah, well, there are people pushing to abolish ICE. So your whole tirade of how America elected Trump because of ICE doesn't really make any sense, considering polling data out of YouGov immediately after the shooting of people like Renee Good and Alex Peretti was that more Americans support the abolition of ICE, a plurality of Americans, than Americans who want to keep it. And even of those who want to keep it, a significant margin want it to, at the very least, be significantly reformed. People do not approve of the way Donald Trump is conducting any policy for that matter, but especially immigration policy. Okay, so people pushing to do something has nothing to do with whether or not that thing is happening or that thing is reality. And that is the case with America having an official language, okay? Yes, a majority of Americans speak English, but Puerto Rico, which is in American territory, a majority of people there speak Spanish. If you don't want Puerto Rico to be part of America, give it independence, right? You can't just colonize a territory, literally colonize a territory that speaks another language and impose your native language onto them, right? That is colonization.
Right,
so you're trying to make official
this attitude that you have right here is why you in Great Britain have lost your culture. You ceded your culture to a bunch of radical Muslims who came in and took over, and now
she's pivoting.
We're not allowing that here. Whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Muslim, it's not happening in the United States of America. That's why President Trump was elected. And whether it's Bad Bunny, who is American but refuses to speak English in his performances, or anybody else, we have to keep the Super Bowl, which is a quintessential American event. Football, that kind of football, is ours. They call it American football. And the halftime show and everything around it needs to stay quintessentially American. Not
to appeal. So first of all, if Bad Bunny isn't American, you don't know what the definition of being an American is, because he is. And Puerto Rico is an American territory. I don't know what, and here's the other thing. She said it's not because of his performance. Okay, so if it's not about his performance, scratch everything that was performed at his performance. She said that, right? That was her criticism. She said it was because of Bad Bunny's rhetoric. So she didn't bring up Bad Bunny's Puerto Rican identity. She didn't say, she initially didn't say it was because he's a Spanish speaker. Now she's claiming that it's because of Spanish speaking, which, again, Piers Morgan pointed out, America doesn't have an official language. What she did claim, and what her initial point was, and that she wanted to remain consistent, was that he was divisive, meaning he spoke politically and frankly about his opinions on the policy of the country and critiquing the American government. That is the most quintessential American facet of anyone's character, right? Isn't free speech, the First Amendment, one of the most beloved and cherished and valued amendments in our Constitution? It's something that we pride ourselves on. It's something that conservatives consistently say they care so much about. But when someone exercises that right, all of a sudden they're not quintessentially American, and having them perform at the Super Bowl, no, they should just shut up for their entire career, right? He wasn't crazy political during his performance. And that's not to say there wasn't no politics, but she didn't say it was about his performance. She said it was about him doing any sort of criticism at all, because that's divisive. Insane.
Spanish, not Muslim, not anything other than good old-fashioned American apple pie. There should be a meatloaf, maybe some fried chicken, and an English-speaking performer. That's what the Super Bowl should be.
Okay, two things. One, you've conceded you don't have a national language in the United States officially. And secondly, the language you do want to be your official language is my language. The language of the country you think has gone to pot. So my obvious follow-up is, Megyn, why do you want English as your national language if you think England is gone to hell in a handcart?
Piers,
that's kind of a dumb
medications for your head.
That's kind of a dumb question by Piers. I'm not going to lie. There's so many ways.
A pill or two. Okay.
There's so many ways to attack this woman's argument.
Something that we can all understand. I don't think Bad Bunny used his appearance to bash America, but I can't be sure because I didn't see any subcaptions on his Spanish language performance.
But what about Pavarotti?
What about Pavarotti? America haters.
What about Pavarotti?
Again, what exactly has Bad Bunny said to indicate that he hates America? He literally said, "Together we are America." That was a part of the performance. He said, "God bless America" in his performance. He criticized the administration and ICE. That's quintessentially American. So anytime the Biden administration is in office and you're criticizing their policy, is it not American to do so? It's so stupid. And what frustrates me is it's stupid and she's pissed about it. It's like, if you're going to throw a temper tantrum, know what the fuck you're talking about. But this woman is an imbecile, an idiot, making a ridiculous and stupid point, and she's throwing a temper tantrum over that point. It's insane.
Trump, in 2016 in particular, would use at every campaign rally. He's used it at the RNC, right, as a triumphant, tub-thumping anthem. Well, no, hang on. Not only Pavarotti.
I've been at lots of Trump rallies. Pavarotti gets a song, maybe two.
He sings, but But when he sings Nessun Dorma in Italian, I don't see you leaping up and down going, I can't understand a word of it. You're probably singing
I don't remember
along.
him being the Super Bowl halftime show, was he?
He just brought up an artist. No, note this. Piers just brought up an Italian artist that was singing at Donald Trump rallies, right? If Donald Trump is the president of the United States and he's having performers, shouldn't those performers be also American unifiers, be English speaking performers according to her logic? Now it's no longer about, well, it's specifically the Super Bowl. It's not about political rallies, even though those political rallies are for the president of the United States, who's supposed to represent the entirety of America. And the Super Bowl is a private event. Yes, it's quintessentially American. It's a ceremony, etc. It's a tradition, but it's a private event. So when events are held for people who are running for public office or who hold public office, those performers can be Italian and speak in Italian because they support the president of the United States. Do you see how this all laps back to my original point? How it's not actually about whether or not the performer is outspoken on their politics, right? That Italian performer is obviously outspokenly pro-Trump. She doesn't have an issue with it. He speaks Italian in his songs. She doesn't have an issue with it. It's because Bad Bunny is just of the opposite side of the political spectrum to the extent we know Bad Bunny's politics, because he's not that outspoken. And anyone who follows even a smidge of pop culture would know Bad Bunny's not some crazy outspoken political guy. He had the Grammy speech, and of course, because he is Hispanic, because he is Latino, he's going to be supportive of his community.
Well, would you have minded if he was?
Yes, I would have, because we feature
BS.
English-speaking performers at the quintessentially American event of the Super Bowl. We do Michael Jackson. We do Whitney Houston. We do great bands that love America, like American rap. That's a different situation. This guy who can't stand the country comes out and starts speaking in Spanish, and I'm sure the people in South Florida really enjoyed it. The people in an American territory, Puerto Rico, really enjoyed it. But the people in the heartland had no idea what the hell was happening. This is a guy who loves to parade around in a dress. Well, again,
Is Texas not the heartland of America? I'm sorry. This woman is so out of touch. There are Spanish speakers and Hispanic Americans in pretty much all states in this country, or the majority of states in this country. You can find them pretty much anywhere, right? They're, of course, going to be more concentrated in, sure, South Florida. And a lot of those Hispanics, by the way, are Trump supporters. They're all throughout California, and they're all throughout Texas. They're all throughout, of course, border states. But like, what? You're going to tell me Texas isn't in the heartland of America? Isn't the Dallas Cowboys America's team? Bringing up an NFL football reference. It's insane.
Out with Jay-Z and his Epstein-loving pals, who gets up there when he's not bashing America with his pals at Green Day, who are from the far-left People's Republic of California, who have never missed a chance to rip on Trump, MAGA, half the country, or ICE, and that's something they share with Bad Bunny. That's not representative of what the heartland wants to see. And the heartland always gets the middle finger from people like Jay-Z, like Roger Goodell, who should know better, but he's a panderer who runs the NFL. And that's why you had probably closer to 10 million people turning the channel and turning to the Turning Point event, which was pro-American, which was absolutely beautiful, which had several references to God and faith and this country, which had a tribute to Charlie
Because
Kirk.
Turning Point USA, an explicitly political conservative organization who is headed by Charlie Kirk, that's not divisive. Bad Bunny doing a really vapidly shallow critique of Trump's immigration policy at the Grammys, that is too divisive, and speaking Spanish, a language that many Americans speak and a huge portion of Americans understand. And even of those who don't speak Spanish, plenty of people still enjoy his music, right? I enjoy his music. As of recent, at the very least, after I saw the Super Bowl halftime performance, I was like, damn, some of these songs are pretty good. I like some of these songs. I like some music that is not in English, right? There's plenty of songs that I'm sure even conservatives would enjoy or say that they would enjoy that aren't in English, right? But because he speaks Spanish and because he does a shallow critique of Trump's immigration policy at the Grammys, he's too divisive. But Turning Point USA, the explicitly political organization that is essentially a dog puppet of the Republican establishment at this point, that is not divisive, right? That's what everyone should have been watching. No, it's because it was the politics that you enjoy, but it wasn't the politics that most people around the world enjoy, because yes, the Super Bowl actually is televised to the world, and the NFL does want to expand to a global market. I'll say it again. That is 100% a huge part of the equation. Bad Bunny's a popular artist worldwide. The NFL wants to expand its market. It's actually that simple.
At the end of it, and talked about Jesus and how he can change your life. That's what America's all about. We are founded as a Christian nation. We're still a Christian nation, and what we want is somebody
There's explicit
up there
separation
to
of church and state
how
for a
freaking
reason.
special this country is. Not a bunch of people who can't stand us, and over what? Over our desire to get illegal immigrants who are raping and molesting our children out of our country. That's all ICE is doing.
Okay.
That's all ICE is doing. An explicit, blatant lie. 5% of those in ICE detention centers, 5% of those in ICE detention centers have a violent criminal conviction. 5%. How many of those 5% have such a degree of a violent criminal conviction that they would be a child rapist, like she mentioned? 70% of those in ICE detention centers have no criminal conviction whatsoever, and about 40% have no charge. It's not what the majority of ICE is doing, and there's a reason why most people don't actually support Donald Trump's immigration policy at this point in time. They have many Americans may have voted for it, but if you look at all polling data, Donald Trump is clearly underwater on this issue, and there's a reason why Megyn Kelly and all these conservatives are crashing the fuck out over it.